Welcome back to our daily discussion space. Today is a beautiful Wednesday, and we are absolutely thrilled to dive deep into the latest dramatic twists unfolding on our favorite screen. As someone who has dedicated over 4 decades of my life to watching the intricate, ever-changing landscape of Port Charles, I find myself completely captivated by the current direction of the narrative. The writers have truly outdone themselves this time, weaving a complex tapestry of romance, danger, and political intrigue that feels both incredibly fresh and wonderfully reminiscent of the golden era of the show. Sitting in my living room, watching the events of this week unfold, I felt a familiar thrill run down my spine. We are witnessing a monumental shift in the power dynamics of the city, and at the absolute center of this chaotic storm is Sonny, a man who has defined the very essence of the underworld for decades. Seeing him navigate this new reality, stripped of his former absolute authority but burning with an undeniable desire to reclaim his throne, is nothing short of mesmerizing television. It is a testament to the enduring power of these characters that they can still surprise us, still make us gasp, and still keep us eagerly anticipating every single scene. Let us begin by thoroughly examining that beautifully crafted, highly romantic moment between Sonny and Justine. The atmosphere in that scene was thick with relief and a palpable, undeniable chemistry as they finally took a moment to celebrate the apparent defeat of Sidwell. Watching them in that intimately lit room, sharing gentle smiles and lingering glances, I could not help but feel a deep sense of warmth for a character who has endured so much tragedy. Justine, with her sharp intellect and formidable presence as an assistant district attorney, brings a completely different, vibrant energy to his life. We are so used to seeing him with women who either fully embrace the darkness of his lifestyle or constantly try to drag him kicking and screaming into the light. However, Justine seems to be walking a very dangerous, intoxicating tightrope between these two extremes. Their celebration was a rare moment of pure vulnerability for a man who usually keeps his guard up at all times. Yet, my decades of experience watching this narrative unfold tell me that this romantic bliss is merely the calm before a catastrophic, citywide storm. The joy of defeating Sidwell is undeniably intoxicating for them, but I must raise a highly critical question here. Why on earth did they make the conscious decision to leave him alive? Ask yourself, when has showing mercy to a ruthless, calculating enemy ever worked out well for anyone in the treacherous streets of Port Charles? The answer, as any longtime viewer knows, is absolutely never. I firmly believe that this decision not to eliminate Sidwell when they had the absolute perfect opportunity is going to go down as one of the most colossal, devastating miscalculations in recent television history. Back in his prime, Sonny would never have left a dangerous loose end like Sidwell breathing. He would have instantly recognized the existential threat and neutralized it with extreme, unforgiving prejudice. So, what exactly changed in his mindset? Is it the softening, humanizing influence of Justine that caused him to stay his hand? Is he desperately trying to prove to her, and perhaps to himself, that he can operate and win this war without resorting to ultimate lethal violence? While that might be a beautiful, highly romantic sentiment that appeals to the heart, in the brutal, unforgiving reality of their world, it is a fatal flaw. I believe that in that crucial moment, love clouded his judgment. He wanted to be a better man for the woman standing beside him, an officer of the court who believes in justice rather than execution. But by choosing the path of mercy, he has inadvertently set off a chain reaction of catastrophic events. The failure to kill Sidwell is not just a missed opportunity. It is the very catalyst that is currently tearing their world apart and proving that the ghosts of half measures will always return to haunt you. This merciful misstep brings us directly to the terrifying, explosive emergence of Z. Because Sidwell was inexplicably left alive, the entire underground ecosystem has been thrown into absolute, unmitigated chaos, and Z is capitalizing on this instability with terrifying precision. Z's actions are not just making minor waves. They are creating explosive, earth-shattering tremors throughout the entire city. I have watched countless villains come and go over the years, but the sheer unpredictability and explosive nature of Z is something that genuinely frightens me as a viewer. Z is operating with a level of chaotic brilliance that we have rarely seen, turning the very survival of Sidwell into a potent, destructive weapon against our protagonists. The fact that Sidwell is still out there, breathing, scheming, and potentially feeding vital information or resources to Z means that the sweet victory Sonny and Justine celebrated was entirely hollow and premature. How did we get to a point where a sitting assistant district attorney and a former undisputed mob boss are actively teaming up against a mysterious rogue operator and an international intelligence agency? This is where the sheer brilliance of the current writing truly shines, even if it deviates wildly from the traditional, predictable storylines we are so accustomed to. Justine and Sonny are now forced into an unprecedented, highly dangerous alliance to combat the combined, overwhelming threat of Z and the WSB. Yes, the WSB. The involvement of the World Security Bureau elevates this conflict from a simple, local turf war to a massive, high-stakes espionage thriller. The WSB does not play by the established rules of the street, they play by the complex, ruthless rules of global dominance. For Sonny to successfully face off against an organization of this magnitude requires a complete, fundamental overhaul of his traditional tactics. And what about Justine's incredibly complex role in all of this? I find myself constantly questioning her psychological state and moral compass. How does a sworn officer of the court, a woman whose entire distinguished career is built on upholding the rigid letter of the law, justify going to war alongside a known syndicate leader against a legitimate, albeit shadowy, government agency? Is she completely blinded by her romantic feelings, or has she discovered a level of deep-seated corruption within the WSB that somehow justifies her radical, illegal actions? I suspect it is a highly volatile mixture of both. Watching her transition from a rigid, by-the-book prosecutor to a tactical, cunning partner in a shadow war is one of the most compelling, fascinating character arcs I have seen in years. She is risking absolutely everything for this romance and this battle. This brings me to the absolute core of the impending, unavoidable drama. The passionate romance between Justine and Sonny is rapidly becoming a massive, uncontrollable public issue. In a gossip-fueled town like Port Charles, secrets of this magnitude cannot remain buried forever, no matter how hard they try to hide them. The optics of an assistant district attorney being romantically entangled with a man actively attempting to violently reclaim his underworld empire are, frankly, a public relations nightmare and a massive legal catastrophe waiting to happen. The whispers have already started echoing through the corridors of power, and soon this relationship will be the hottest, most scandalous topic in the entire city. This is proving to be a massive new complication that they are entirely unprepared for. Z is far too intelligent and ruthless not to use this brewing public scandal against them. Why fight them with bullets and bombs when you can completely destroy them with scandal, disbarment, and total public ruin? I can already see the devastating, heartbreaking consequences of this public exposure. The moment their relationship becomes front-page news, Justine will be immediately stripped of her legal authority, her institutional resources, and her police protection. She will be entirely isolated, leaving her completely dependent on Sonny's network, which is currently fractured and under severe, explosive attack from Z. This is exactly what Z wants. By exposing the romance, Z brilliantly neutralizes Justine's legal leverage and forces them both into a desperate corner. Let us delve deeper into Sonny's mindset regarding his lost empire. The romantic interlude with Justine was a beautiful distraction, but the fire of ambition is still roaring within his chest. He desperately wants his territory back. He wants the respect and the absolute control that he once wielded effortlessly over the city. But reclaiming power in today's Port Charles is not like flipping a simple switch. The landscape has drastically changed. New players have moved in, old loyalties have shifted, and the looming presence of the WSB complicates every tactical maneuver. He cannot simply muscle his way back to the top. He has to outthink and outplay his opponents. The dynamic between Z and the WSB is another fascinating layer of this puzzle. Are they secretly working together, or is Z manipulating the WSB for their own chaotic ends? My decades of analyzing these plots lead me to firmly believe that Z is playing a highly sophisticated double game. Z knows perfectly well that the WSB has the resources to crush Sonny, so Z is likely feeding them manipulated information to keep them focused on him and Justine, while Z operates freely in the shadows. It is a classic misdirection play. The ultimate tragedy here is that by sparing Sidwell, Sonny inadvertently provided Z with the perfect pawn to execute this devastating strategy. I often find myself literally shouting at the television screen these days. I desperately want to tell Sonny to wake up, to clearly see the deadly trap closing around him. The romance with Justine is a beautiful distraction, but it is a dangerous one. When fighting a two-front war against a phantom like Z and a monolith like the WSB, you cannot afford to have your attention divided. Yet Justine is his greatest asset. Her intimate knowledge of the law, her understanding of institutional bureaucracy, and her fierce loyalty might be the only things that can possibly save him from the WSB's grasp. They are caught in a terrifying loop. As we look toward the highly anticipated upcoming episodes, the tension is absolutely agonizing. The pressure is building to a massive boiling point, and I can literally feel the heat and excitement radiating from the screen. We are hurtling toward a massive, unavoidable confrontation that will change the city forever. How will they handle the devastating fallout when their romance is fully exposed to the public? What is Z's ultimate destructive endgame? And how much damage will Z cause before being stopped? And the most pressing question of all, will Sonny finally realize his monumental mistake and take the necessary lethal steps to deal with Sidwell once and for all? I have a strong feeling that the days of mercy are rapidly coming to an end. Buckle up, because the road ahead is going to be incredibly bumpy, dangerously explosive, and absolutely unmissable. I cannot wait to see how this resolves.